Girl, I'm in love with you, baby, and I want you to know that I'm hooked on your body, and I'm trying to be yours.
What's going on, fuckheads?
We've got a whole new personality when we're in public.
Yeah. Oh, we're different. We're different out here.
Built different.
So my name's Robbie.
I'm Dart.
We're here at the beautiful Opera House. We've got, what a skyline.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's I haven't spent much time around here yet as a Sydney sider, as a new Sydney sider, but it floors me every time I'm here.
So Dart kindly got us tickets to come and see, got us to see Virgin Suicide, Sofia Coppola movie, her first movie, debut.
Was it?
Debut movie.
Did not know, that's crazy.
With original score from the band Air.
We need to go. So I bought tickets for this, and I told Robbie, and I said, the reason I bought tickets for it was because I wanted to see the film, but also because it said Virgin Suicide, Sofia Coppola, soundtracked by Air, and Air is here for Vivid, and I was led to believe, I feel, that there was going to be a live performance of the soundtrack. That wasn't the case.
No.
And I found out since that many people thought it was going to be a live score. Not the case. So we're feeling a little bit pissed off about that.
Are you pissed off?
I absolutely feel misled by Vivid, yes. Absolutely.
So when you sat down in the cinema, so I was ever so slightly late, and I feel like you were frustrated at me for that, which is fair enough, and I'm sorry about that. But so it was, that frustration was doubled by Air not being at all present. Were you looking around thinking Air must be around the corner? They must be down in the pulpit.
I thought they were in the pit. I thought Air's in the pit. But then I also thought it was $30. Yeah. So I was very confused.
Been doing it over Zoom or something. So we obviously had quite a time with Priscilla.
Yep.
Regular listeners of this show would know. You despised it. No, I'm just, Anyway, those that listen, whatever. So this is Sofia Coppola's first movie, starring Kirsten Dunst, who we both love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Leans in.
Yeah. Leans in. What's his name? Jesse Plemons, is that his
Her
name?
husband, yeah.
Yeah.
Inspiration for guys like me, let's just say that.
You don't know what Dart looks like. Let's just say
Sammy
looks a little bit like Jesse Plemons.
a little bit like Jesse. Yeah.
How do you feel about? I mean, I've only just thought about that now. That does that make you feel? How does that make you feel?
Well, I think he's hideous.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I think he's a hideous man. But that being said, I think he's incredible. I think he's charismatic. I think he's intriguing. I don't think he's without appeal, but as a physical face on its own, if you were to show that without the context of his talents, I would think he was an ugly man. And that's fine, because I think after what I've started to realise, and tell me if this sounds like cope, I'll accept that, but I think when people say that someone looks like someone, people often take that as a one-for-one, but I think it's a sketch, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you look exactly like them. I think that's just, I've got similar colouring, maybe a similar head shape, maybe similar things. I'm not gonna get upset about it.
He's a slimmer Philip Seymour.
Now, Philip Seymour, on the other hand,
looks
exactly
more like
I very much look like
more reminiscent you are of Philip Seymour, and talented in a different way.
Yeah.
Different talents, similar caliber,
different talent, same face, and same length dick, according to.
Can I say about your dick? Because it's something that you've mentioned to me a few times now, and to other people.
Oh,
you've got a hook.
Yeah.
You've got the hook.
Yeah. It's I've got a bit of a hook-shaped dick.
Is that what Philip Seymour has too?
I would assume so. But I've been complimented heavily on the hook.
Really?
It earned me a bit of a rap at uni. Apparently
I've
it hits
never
the spot.
heard of such a thing.
Yeah. So I love it. Look, you're probably thinking like full hook. Look, I'm being hyperbolic. It's very slight, but
Sounds like hentai. Anyway.
I think I don't know what maybe it's jerking off too much. I don't know.
Jelking. What I'll say as well, in regards to your talents, we all know that you can rap, but you recently in the group chats have slung through some rapping that you've done. It's good. I'll include some here.
I'm ahead of my time, sometimes years out, so the powers that be won't let me get my ideas out, and that make me want to get my advance out, move to Oklahoma and just live at my aunt's house. Yeah, I romanced the thought of leaving it all behind. Kanye, step away from the limelight, like when I was on the grind in the...
Thanks, man.
What's going on in those moments? Because you haven't done that really.
When I feel excited and when I feel happy, I think it's a good outlet for those feelings. Kind of like if someone who likes singing sings when they're feeling happy, I assume. I like to do that with rapping, and I also think it's really funny. And I like it. You guys know I like that shit.
Well, you did well.
Thanks, man. So what did you think of the film?
The second time seeing it, I loved it. And I was reminiscing before I saw it, wow, this is beautiful. So there's this, it's really raining here in Sydney. I thought it was really stylish, glamorous, and I was thinking about, before getting here, about the title and the content, and I was thinking how awesome the title is. I don't know if, is it based on a book?
I don't know.
The Virgin Suicides.
Yes. So every time I've told someone that I'm going to see it, like I told Mum, and she didn't know about the film, and it's a challenging title, and it's so compelling and awesome.
Yeah. I kind of was quite taken by it again, and found it was funny where it wanted to be funny, I felt, mostly, and it was intoxicating, and I love the cinematography, the music, some of the needle drops are sick, like
literal needle drops. Like you hear the needle drop and then it goes into some of the dopest shit you'll ever hear.
I'm assuming that you... Oh, yeah. I'm assuming you liked this more than Priscilla.
I did, but I will say straight off the bat, had I seen Virgin Suicides before Priscilla, I would have liked Priscilla more.
Okay.
And I'm going to own that as a lack of understanding of the artist, Sofia Coppola. I would have been way more ready for a tale that might take some work from me regarding how the world treats women, and that the person who was making the film was really equipped to tell that story. And I didn't go in with that context. And, you could say maybe I should have felt that. If she was so good at it, I should have felt that more. But I think, I do think I would have liked it more. It's as simple as that. I don't know. But Virgin Suicides, I really loved it. Soundtrack incredible, incredibly stylized, incredibly sounding. Kirsten Dunst just steals the show. Like, of course, she's just so enigmatic and so just incredible, and so beautiful and just so awesome. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart. And I said to Robbie when we got up this morning, this is part of the reason why I was in a bad mood, not just because you were late. I had a really awful dream last night that a friend of mine that I grew up with, his father committed suicide in the last couple of years, and in a really tragic way. And I had a dream about that last night, a really in-depth dream about it, which you can probably imagine on a rainy day with Virgin Suicides to be the thing that you consume afterwards. It's just a pretty negative experience, pretty melancholic experience, but it's an awesome film. It's tragic. Go see it if you haven't. And if you have, let us know your thoughts. Love to know.
Please do. Sorry to hear about that. How did that affect your experience of the film today?
It made me feel like everyone wants to kill themselves. You know what I mean? Like, this made me... You know when you watch a really negative film or you have a fight or something and then you go watch another something else and it just, like, it predisposes you. You have this predisposition for, like, tragedy already. And I guess that's... I just woke up in a really sad mood because of that dream. And it made me feel pessimistic in a way that I'm not usually, I think. Better in a while from now, I'm not feeling any less down.
How good is I'm Not in Love? As a 10cc, that fucking song and its use in this movie, I will say, and this is reaffirmed for me, because I remember I commented on Priscilla that her use of montage is really good.
Yep.
Some arresting montage sequences in this movie too, I feel like. She's just got imagery down pat. It just elevates whatever's on the page through that. It's, you know.
Don't you think it'd be interesting to, given how talented Sofia Coppola is at telling stories, how talented her father is at telling stories, if we were to trace their lineage, would we find that their ancestors were storytellers in some ways? Is this a DNA level of expertise that has been handed down? Because it's crazy, it's supernatural, you know what I mean? To hit like that.
Yeah. I think just being rich.
Oh, yep.
Okay, when you next see us, we'll be Antran.
Robbie and I were talking the other day. Robbie was very astounded to hear that I had never had a wet dream.
Yeah.
And I am just so fascinated by wet dreams. It seems like it's so weird to me because I have never had a wet dream ever, even as younger, whatever. I went through I went a month without jerking off. I never had a wet dream. Why would that be? And how often do you have them?
Oh, rare. Very, very, very rarely.
How rare?
Yeah. Maybe once every couple of years, I reckon.
Oh, that rare.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you remember them?
Well, yeah, because they happen so rarely. It's like,
yeah.
No,
do you remember
the dream?
Or do you just wake up with a mess?
Yeah, vaguely, yeah. But like not really.
It's just like, what other instance is there where you can come without any physical manipulation?
What comes to mind for me about this and like why... Well, like my theory is that, stoners don't have dreams, right? So that's the thing about stoners, is like it's a common function. If you have a lot of weed, have you heard this?
No.
You'll have dark sleep. Like you won't, if you have a lot of weed, you'll have a black sleep.
And you're going to say...
I'm going to say because you have because you've like overstimulated your imagination with that substance. And my suggestion is that you have such an imaginative, sexual, mental life that when you sleep, it just goes dark because you've like overextended your daily quota. And you also come heaps.
How dare you fucking coward. No, I don't.
No, I don't.
No, I don't. I don't come enough.
Can we talk about your rub and tug?
Yes.
No, there's nothing really much to go into there. All right, can we say just one thing? If this is all right with you, we can take this out. But when we had our beautiful boys' night, just me and you, remember where I asked you to be a best man in the morning and went to the pub and you're really helping me out. When we were walking back from where we'd been to Dart's place, we walked past a massage parlour. And Dad got a glint in his eye and he goes, 1 second, mate, I'll be right back. And he steps inside, he has a brief consultation. The woman on the desk who was to be providing such a service was to your liking and there was a booking for later that night made.
Yeah, I was like, I'll come back later. And we hadn't agreed for how long we were going to hang out. So like... I thought Robbie was going to be leaving shortly after.
So as we continued to hang out and as I, was enjoying the mate time, it sort of crept closer and closer to your agreed time with the
Yep.
woman,
Yep.
and you kindly said, no, stay seated, mate. I'll do this later. You called up. Actually, I think there were 3 calls because we kept delaying. We're like, no, half an hour later, mate, it'll be all good.
Because Robbie didn't want to... Because
I didn't want to get in your way because you were quite excited.
And then when I realised that Robbie was in need of some bro time, I did decide to cancel it. And you objected very kindly. But
I did.
said,
I didn't want to get in your way because
no,
you know.
I'm not going to a rub and tug. But then Robbie and I said, should I call again and tell her I'm not coming? And Robbie said, you should. So I called her and I said, hey, I'm sorry to fuck you around. I'll come next week. I can't do tonight. She said, that's fine. And I went next week.
With that same person?
With a different person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still have aspirations to meet with that person?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there's not many things, right, that you will get me feeling embarrassed about, that you will get me feeling shame about. And like every now and then my mum pops into this pod just recently because she's just recently on social media, and she messaged me about the carver.
Did she?
Yeah. She was like, how are you feeling after the carver? And I was like,
yeah, right. That's
funny. And then she said, were you able to work the next day? And I said, yes, Mum, I was able to work the next day. So like there's every chance that my mum, who I have a very who I'm very close with and who like who really does know most things about me in this way, but I do feel a little bit of a shame around this. I think it's embarrassing. That being said,
I'm sorry.
No, don't say sorry. It's me. Like I don't think I want to not. So I'm exercising. This is practice to be like fuck it. Who gives a fuck? I wanted my dick to be rubbed with oil by someone who I found attractive. That's not crazy. I'm a single man. I'm living alone. And I'm not on any dating apps. I'm not really dating.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like I'm not pointing the finger. It's just rare enough in our experience that it was a humorous element of that.
Yeah. It's the third time I think I've ever been to one, and it was good. It's a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother thing. I think the last time I went, the lady who was giving me the massage. She had a fight with her boss in the middle, and she was telling me about the fight while she was giving me a massage. Not while she was doing the rub and tug part of the happy ending, but during the massage. And I was like, oh, that sounds really hard. I ended up giving her a tip at the end, and I said, sorry, having a hard night. She gave me a hug. It was very nice.
You're going to save her?
I'm going to save them all. I am going to save them all. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to be one of those. I'm going to get shredded and huge. Get on steroids, and I'm going to move to a third world country and be one of those white guys that lives in a mansion alone that always has like parties. Have you seen those people?
Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. She ding 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 ding. She's a cock teaser. She's gonna suck my fat dick. She's a cock teaser.
She's gonna suck my fat chode now. She was a cock teaser, licking my fat chode. It took me so long to come, blow my load. Fuck it. Zishin.
So, welcome back, everyone. We're not going to go on about this, but it's no secret. Just started therapy again, going through some stuff. Robbie's been with my mum, biggest support, and he saw in real time, due to some reasons that we won't go into yesterday, essentially where you probably stopped watching us last record, you'll notice this is the next day. I had a little bit of a depressive kind of breakdown while Robbie was here, which involved me basically hopping into bed and Robbie leaving and us stopping recording. We had a big talk. It's all good. Everything's fine. It's neither here or there. But the reason that we're telling you about this, we debated to tell at all, not because we don't want to be open with you, but rather because you know this about us and we've told you about this before and we don't think it's terribly interesting. But I think it does take a little bit of a traumatic event or a little bit of a emotional breaking point sometimes to shake some things loose. And what it did end up shaking loose was I finally mustered the balls to confront, in a small way, confront my neighbours about not everything, but I did confront them about the laundry issue because essentially for the last 3 days, not exaggerating, dryer, laundry, full of their clothes, and unless I want to grab them and put them in the sink like I've done in the past, which I don't like doing, I can't do any fucking washing. And I recorded the conversation.
So excited for this.
I will. So I'm gonna play this for Robbie now live. We'll insert it for you guys to listen to. I will say, I told Robbie when I first took it, it's not very interesting, but it is what I said I would do.
No, it is interesting. Very keen to hear this. So any new enjoyers here? Dart's had this long-standing problem with his shared bathroom where he lives. There's never any toilet paper. It's always sodden. The dryer and the washer are always full up. So here we are now. He's finally got to the point where he has recorded his conversation with them. This is the first time you've actually talked to them properly about it, right?
Yeah, so I knocked on. What you'll hear is me knocking on their door and speaking to. That both of them were home. I could hear him in the background, but I was speaking to the woman. They're younger than me. I would say they're probably around 25. And
here we go.
G'day, how you going? Yeah, is it okay when you're not using it if you can take it out?
Yeah, I was in work, so I just came.
Yeah, I think there's been stuff in there for the last 3 days or so I can't use it.
I think if you have done it today, I just...
Okay, yeah, that'd be good, thank you. I appreciate it.
Way shorter than I was anticipating.
I know. So
really short.
She's horrified by me. So
she could barely stammer a word out.
I know, and I feel this is part of it as well. I feel guilty when I speak to him. I feel annoyance. When I speak to her, I feel horror. And so when I wanted to speak to him, because I would rather deal with an annoyed man than a horrified woman, and she is like. So I'm trying to be kind and polite, but what was getting to me there was if you listen back, she there's no accountability. The first she's like, I was at work. Like she's like, I was at work, and then I said, yeah, but it's been in there for the last 3 days. And also, if you were at work, that's not an excuse. Don't put washing on when you're at work. When you share a laundry in a...
Also, sorry, but they work downstairs. Sorry. So it's not like it's, a big commute.
Yeah. It's the excuse is bullshit. And then...
Yeah, it's an annoying... There's no remorse there.
There's no remorse. And then the second thing, you can't hear it super well, when I said it's been there for the last 3 days, she gestured to her partner in the back and she said, I think he put it in...
And so he's just not present at all.
Not present.
Yeah.
And the excuse was because of him. So,
look, hopefully more to come on this because that's
there will be more. There will be more because I'm at a point where I'm angry enough to kind of like comically pursue this now. But like there was, but guess what she did afterwards? What? So dry stuff in the dryer. She had wet stuff in the washing machine, and I didn't even need to do washing. I was in such a bad mood. I was actually looking for a conflict, to be honest. I think that's why I knocked on the door. But when I got her, I wanted him. And so when her response to this was, she went out straight away. She got her washing. She got the dryer, emptied the dryer. She put the washing into the dryer. So she's been occupying the dryer for 3 days. I say, when you're not using it, can you please, because her washing had been in there all day. So she takes the washing out and puts it into the dryer. So if I needed to use the dryer, her best answer for me, her compromise, is to, instead of storing clothes in it, is to actively use it. She's always using it no matter what. So there is an outcome if I have a bad enough day where I throw these people's clothes out the window. I've had a dispute with a neighbour before once over parking, where it got this bad, where I called the cops.
Have you told that on?
I think I might have. There was like this super limited, I was in uni, super limited fucking parking where I was in this student accommodation. And I was in this suburban area where they just, streets and streets of parking. So all the uni students that lived in this apartment complex, quite a small apartment complex, this is in outer suburbs of Melbourne, would park in the surrounding streets and where there was heaps of space. And as you know, white, middle-aged homeowners are incredibly entitled people, and you can't be parking on our street, which we obviously can, because they want to be able to have guests park on their street. And I used to park in the same spot every time out the front of this family's house. And this guy had this huge fucking truck with a bull bar. And what he did was he parked up against my piece of shit car. This is towards the end of my tenancy there. And he rammed the back of my car and pushed it forward so he could park there as well. So when I came and got my car, his car was pushed right up against mine with the bull bar.
Yeah, it's
and I knocked on his door and I said, "What the fuck is that?" And he just pleaded. He was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about." And so I called the cops and they said they couldn't do anything.
That's really psycho. It reminds me of housemate and good friend of ours, Charlie, got into a screaming match with somebody on our street who was... So, we're in an intersection, whatever. It's kind of nebulous where the limits are on parking near the corner sometimes. Is it, when there's not an exact sign, is it 2 meters, whatever it is. Yeah. So people have been, ours is an all-day parking area. People have been pretty lenient with that, and there's been no issues to my understanding. This one guy seemed to get an infringement because of where he was parking close to the corner. And he was so incensed by that, he was going around our neighbourhood reporting cars of his own, on his own time that he thought were too close to the corner. And he did that with Charlie's car. And Charlie was like, "Why are you doing this?" He's like, "Well, if it's going to happen to me, it's got to happen to everyone."
Yeah. This guy was so angry he got in trouble for breaking the law that he took it upon himself to report everyone else, because if he got in trouble, everyone else should be getting in trouble.
Vigilante.
And Robbie, Charlie had a screaming match with him, right?
Yeah. Really crazy.
Yeah,
Can we touch base with the Patreon comments?
Yeah. So we
talked about this the last Patreon episode, and hello to you if you are a Patreon, and hello if you're not, and if you want to, exclusive fortnightly episodes of a high caliber, I gotta say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly the same as the free episodes. You'll love what we're doing over there. And we did a call out last episode because we were talking about nightmare roommate stories, and we put a call out to the Patreons to share their own in solidarity with the issues that I'm having. And they've come through and they're fucking crackers. We actually just got one then. I haven't read this. I'll read this live. I'll read them anonymously just in case. Roommate used to leave dishes so long they would grow fungus ecosystems in the water. Blood-soaked tampons left on the bathroom sink on multiple occasions. Also, dirty takeaway food containers literally sprouting tufts of mold in the living room while housemates watch TV day after day. When asked to clean it up, they say that we just have different standards and make me the unreasonable one. I fucking hate that. I hate that shit. The different standards thing.
It's not a good argument.
Yeah. It's
there's a limit where it's just unacceptable, I think.
Yeah. For my birthday one year, my partner bought me a pretty nice Japanese knife. I really cherished this quality and practical gift and took good care of it. One day, I pulled said knife out of the block and thought to myself, "Oh,
I didn't want the bread knife. I wanted my good Japanese knife. Only to realize the blade had so many chunks out of it that it legit resembled a bread knife. My housemate at the time, someone I went to school with, had used my knife to smash open coconuts and hadn't noticed he damaged the knife.
What a fucking crazy tale. Bulla.
Bulla, that's a good one.
Wananavu.
That is crazy.
Thank you so much, Patreons. In regards to the breakdown that you had yesterday, I serendipitously read something this morning that I'd like to share with you and see how you resonate with it. Is that all right with you?
Yeah. And when we say breakdown, nothing untoward in terms of like me like screaming at Robbie or anything.
No.
I'd had a tough week that went into a tough day, and then the record and what we were trying to do wasn't going really to the standard that we wanted, and I felt very defeated, and essentially it was just all too much, and I was essentially like, I'm like giving up at the moment on today. There's nothing nice about it. And I will say, just before we like, people, you are of a very small group of people who have ever and who will ever see me like that. Like that is like, Mum, my two previous relationships. Mum, my two previous relationships, and now Robbie, as the only people that have ever seen me do that. And it's a very rare occasion, and it's
Are you okay?
Yeah. No, I'm okay. It's just a lot, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And we don't have to talk about it anymore. And I'll say, Dal went to the gym before, and how are you feeling after that?
Good. And I think I should also say that Robbie was so supportive and so lovely and so non-judgmental about it all, and was basically like, please go to the gym tomorrow before we record, because I really feel like we both agreed it'll make me feel better. I didn't go to the gym. When Robbie came here, he said, I've got some stuff to do. How about you go to a gym workout now? I'll do the stuff I need to do here, and then when you come back, we'll record after you've been to the gym. And just such a loving gesture. And I did it, and it, of course, made me feel awesome. So you're a good mate.
Oh,
and
thanks,
I appreciate
mate.
you. And it's very lovely.
Appreciate you too, and good on you, mate. And also, something else happened at the gym, didn't it?
First time I've ever seen him, my neighbour's at the gym. As soon as I walk in, he's on the bike looking at me as I walk. And I just looked down, and I just thought, I'm going to fucking lose it, man. This is like...
You're going to king hit this guy.
It really is becoming like a Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like,
yeah, it is.
It's crazy. The thing is, like, my hatred for these people, it's not deep. It's an annoyance that's brewed into a hatred. I know that if I communicated effectively with these people, I reckon we could sort it out and I could like them. I think I could. But their laziness and the lack of communication equals absolute resentment.
Hatred.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So my breakdown, what did you read?
So, Joan Didion's The White Album. In June of this year, patient experienced an attack of vertigo, nausea, and a feeling that she was going to pass out. A thorough medical evaluation elicited no positive findings, and she was placed on this medication. The Rorschach record is interpreted as describing a personality in process of deterioration with abundant signs of failing defenses and increasing inability of the ego to mediate the world of reality and to cope with normal stress. Emotionally, patient has alienated herself almost entirely from the world of other human beings. Her fantasy life appears to have been virtually completely preempted by primitive, regressive, libidinal preoccupations, many of which are distorted and bizarre. By the way, I'm not saying this is like, is you. I feel as if I relate to this as well.
Okay.
In a technical sense, basic affective controls appear to be intact, but it is equally clear that they are insecurely and tenuously maintained for the present by a variety of defense mechanisms, including intellectualization, obsessive-compulsive devices, projection, reaction formation, and somatization. I don't know what that is. All of which now seem inadequate to their task of controlling or containing an underlying psychotic process and are therefore in process of failure. The content of patients' responses is highly unconventional and frequently bizarre, filled with sexual and anatomical preoccupations, and basic reality contact is obviously and seriously impaired at times. In quality and level of sophistication, patients' responses are characteristic of those of individuals of high, average, or superior intelligence, but she is now functioning intellectually in impaired fashion at barely average level. Patients' thematic productions on the thematic apperception test emphasize her fundamentally pessimistic, fatalistic, and depressive view of the world around her. It is as though she feels deeply that all human effort is foredoomed to failure, a conviction which seems to push her further into a dependent, passive withdrawal. In her view, she lives in a world of people moved by strange, conflicted, poorly comprehended, and above all, devious motivations, which commit them inevitably to conflict and failure.
Who is being discussed here and what is this?
Joan Didion, who's this celebrated American journalist and writer.
And she's discussing a patient of hers?
This is herself.
It's herself.
Yeah.
That sounds similar to me. And I'm seeing this new therapist and she's incredible. And I'm going to tell you guys more about it once I think I'm going through it more. But I think I touched on it. I'm doing this schema therapy and I'm finding it incredible. And I'm going to tell you guys about it once I've gone through the journey a little bit more in hope that maybe it resonates with you guys or you find it interesting at least. But that the event that happened yesterday, it does sound similar to that without any of the sexual stuff.
Yeah, I know. I realize it's It's
sure.
full on what was, I think, more, what people will have heard is, what we recorded was you after the Virgin Suicides and that awful dream that you had.
Yeah.
Is the feeling that you thought everyone just wanted to kill themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I get very scared because I've got on both mums and who doesn't. I've got on both mum and dad's side really bad mental health issues running through the family, like bad. And my uncle, who I love dearly and who was incredibly intelligent, and he used to be I won't say too much more, but he had a breakdown at around my age. And he was a meteorologist at the time, and he had a breakdown that caused him to medically retire and become unable to work, unable to function much beyond just, he lives in an apartment alone, we don't see him much, I'm probably the closest to him in the family. And I remember having a conversation with him about his breakdown that changed him, absolutely changed him. And I said, did anything... was there any precursors to the breakdown? Was there anything like that? And he said to me that before the breakdown, he was having extremely vivid and terrifying dreams. And that's what I've been having. And I'm not in any danger, I don't think, of having, because I've talked to medical professionals about this. And essentially, I think that my uncle in this case is a unreliable narrator. I think that that's what he points to as the precursor, but a medical professional would point to a whole slew of other things that aren't going on with me. But when I am feeling anxious and I am feeling depressed, like yesterday when we went and saw Virgin Suicides, I do start thinking, am I in the midst of having this genetic mid-30s breakdown because things have been hard for a while, especially when I feel as though I failed someone close to me, in yesterday's instance, Robbie, and I feel like I've got no means to remedy the situation or intellectualize it or make it better. What ends up happening is I get this overwhelming feeling of exhaustion where literally my eyes start to feel like they're closing. I communicate like that, where I'm intellectualizing and basically saying, hey, I'm going through this thing. You just need to leave. I just need to be alone. Like, it's not about you, blah, blah, blah. Because I used to not do that. I used to say bad things to people, and I don't do that anymore. When I did this stuff, when I have this breakdown thing, and I just get into bed, and I can't. I'm nothing. I'm like a lump for like I've never been like it for more than 12 hours, and it's really weird. Have you ever seen anyone do that before?
No, I don't think so. But like, yeah, so it was. Yeah, you basically you got into bed and were non-verbal, and I basically just packed my things up and left.
Yeah,
it was confronting and scary. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like one of the only times that I would like, and I know you'll tell me not to feel this, but I do, like an embarrassment and shame in your presence. Because like, and I felt that in front of everyone who's seen me like that, even my mum, because it feels... I know how scary it is for them to see, for people to see it, and I feel guilt that they're seeing it, because I really don't hope it doesn't sound like it's some kind of manipulation or trying to garner sympathy, because in that moment, I want nothing more than to be invisible. I don't want anything from anyone. I want to vanish. So like, I don't want anything from anyone, but it is, I feel a lot of guilt because I'm like, fuck, I wish you didn't see this, essentially.
Yeah, fuck. Well, look, I'm so glad that you're feeling a little bit better today,
Yeah,
and
thanks.
that, hey, let's lift the mood, eh? I've got a
Whatever.
No, I've got something for you.
Oh no, 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 no.
What are they? Read it out.
Sour punch, pickle roulette. You hear that, pickle Rick?
What do you think, mate?
I'm looking down.
Hey, should we hook in?
So this is pickle flavored straws hidden in every pack. So this is one of those roulettes where these are lollies that taste good, but then every now and then one of them is going to be pickle flavored.
It's gonna taste so awful.
Hey, I hope I don't get one of the pickle flavors.
Say it again.
I hope I don't get one of the pickle flavors.
Boom!
That's a boom! All right. Oh my gosh, look at this.
Look at this. So we're seeing
great.
here, for those
Thank
on
you.
audio, we're seeing, a plastic container full of little sort of, I don't know, sugary rods.
So, okay.
All right, we're going to get
Cheers.
one. Cheers.
Do you want to check out the odds? Do we know what the odds are?
Let's have a look. So there's lots of different flavors here, it seems. There's watermelon, apple, lemon, lime, and pickle.
6, 7, 8. So there's 8. So what would that be? It's like a 10% roughly chance of... Yeah.
All right, cheers. Let's try this out. All right, eat the whole thing. Mine was quite nice, I think.
Mine was not.
What about yours, mate? He's having 2. He's having...
Don't, you'll get sick.
He's having 2.
Don't, he's diabetic. Mine was kind of bad.
That was quite nice. Eating on pod. I think everyone
Yes.
hates the most.
Mine could have been a pickle.
Mine was watermelon for sure. So,
Maybe mine was green apple.
all right, pickle roulette. What's the next one? We're just going to go until we get the pickle.
I bet. Yeah, that was nice.
Boom.
That's a boom.
All right, we'll come back to this.
We'll
maybe.
come back to this, yeah, because we're going to
Yeah.
get sick anyway if we just keep eating.
All right, we'll come back
We'll
to
come
this.
back. We'll do, yeah. That's awesome. Thank you. That's great. Well done.
No worries.
We have got... We're moving... It's no longer Dart's Menagerie. It's the Menagerie. And we've got a whole fucking slew of shit to show you.
And then a brand new segment after this as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
So welcome to Meet You Menagerie. It's where basically we just look at some shit that we've seen on the internet.
Basically, funny shit.
uh-huh.
And yeah, for those listening audio only, this episode is on YouTube. So if you want to just go to YouTube to see this part, Really recommend it. Welcome to Meet You on YouTube. We're filming most of our episodes now, so please go over there and subscribe and like and comment. Really appreciate it. Okay, so this is kind of a housekeeping one because I think it's an awesome. We've been talking about Four Seasons Orlando, baby.
Yeah.
And I just think this is so cute and awesome.
Who wants to go to the Four Seasons Orlando?
Me.
Who wants to go to the Four Seasons Orlando?
Me.
So that's
They
the baby.
got her on the news.
They got her on the news.
The lady said it, and she wanted to go. Me. I just think it's adorable. Doesn't that make you don't like that?
No, it's nice. What do you want me to? How do you want me to react?
Like it's like that.
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay, all right.
That's honestly, I think, my favorite version of it. I've seen some, the one where it's like I am a man that is trapped in a thing, like, and I of course would love to go to the, and all that. They're okay.
Yeah,
but I like that one the most. It's short. It's short and sweet.
She's so
literally
cute and it's awesome. Okay, so this is. So Soph sent me this, and I said, "Did you send it to Robbie?" And she said no, and I thought, "Oh, got to show him in the menagerie."
Yeah, you sent this to me.
I already did.
Yeah, yeah. This was upsetting. This was. Is it a kink thing?
It's badminton training.
Oh yeah, I hated that one. You know what I have been loving? I mean, I don't know, chiropractic stuff just always drives me crazy. And you've been sharing stuff, I think, on Dart Sultan of like that kind of happy, clappy, soul energy.
Yeah, love that.
Just stuff that looks like it's going to break your back.
Yeah, it's
under the guise of it healing you.
Yeah,
I just love it.
And when they do it over Zoom,
yeah,
it's so fucking awesome.
Okay, yeah, that one's crazy.
It's a bit of a longer one, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Top 6 messy autism moments.
I love this one.
Oh, you've seen it already?
Now, the one that I saw, I think it was just all these moments, but it just had like bird song in the background,
Okay, yeah.
like he was out to lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The interviewer's crying, he laughs. Look at him.
Oh. Looking into space. He really is a savant, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, he's so many people's hero, and he's such a obviously fantastic football player, and it's just so funny to see him doing these fucking crazy things.
I love that. All right.
This is a pick.
Are there other things? Yeah. Oh.
Why you got that shit on?
That's yeah, that's good. That's good.
Why you got that shit on?
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking good.
Yeah. All right, I got this. This is a lot.
All right.
Let's go. Move on. It's in the
Wow. Good dancer.
One of the
So
craziest videos I've ever seen is that.
yeah, the other one that comes to mind when I see that is like the 32-year-old single mum dance.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the emotional single mum content is quite funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
You sent me this one recently where it was like a selfie video of a mum making her own birthday cake.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell, me apresente o Negueiro, o seu Papai Noel, seu presente é piroca e ela caiu no céu, 50 centavos, sua 50 centavos, meu.
That's great.
You like that?
Yeah,
do you
good.
want me to go pull out that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it is one of those examples of like
Yeah.
an Aussie comedy
Yeah.
upload that actually just kind of hits. You know?
The mum crying.
Yeah. You know, with those two guys that are like,
Oh yeah,
Mum,
yeah.
you're gonna, you know.
hurry up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mum, you making that cake? You making dinner as well? Mum, why don't you just buy a cake? Mum, why don't you get the Woolies mud cake? Yeah, it's better than yours. Hurry up, Mum. What are you crying for?
What are you crying for?
When you turn the camera on, make sure you don't forget the icing this time. If there's no icing, I'm not singing your happy birthday.
What are you crying for?
Why crying?
Why don't you just buy a cake? All right, now mine. Here we go.
Was blasted into space to spend the rest of his life aboard a one-man prison vessel, posing no further threat to children on Earth. But it was revealed that an 8-year-old boy was also placed on board by mistake and is now trapped alone in space with the monster. A spokesman said, "This is the one thing we didn't want to happen."
It's a Through the Walking Glass story.
Oh,
It's so
I watched that
funny.
20 times in a row. I think
Yeah.
I'd seen it before. So that's Chris Morris, you know, the day-to-day, Brass Eye, Jam,
Right,
Blue
right.
Jam, the boss in the IT crowd.
Right.
He's made all these movies as well. Like, we're all living in his comedic shadow.
Very funny. Very good.
Yo, Dad, listen. I need a favour. Can we babysit my friend's dog, please? Well, I kind of told him we're already going to do it, so I'm going to bring the dog.
Boy, you make me choke. What kind of voice note about dog? No dog. No, not under my government. No way. No dog. How are you going? You better answer your blood clot phone, you know.
I can't call. I'm by Morrison's looking for some parking. It's mad hectic, but we just need to look after the dog for a couple hours. It's been sick, innit? And it's just popping out real quick.
Yo, what you saying about voice note about dog sick? When I bring the dog over and let you show me then rewire dog. And that's the dog want. Rewire. Then you know what? The dog are gonna stop vomit, right? Stop bothering me about this dog.
I'm actually gonna go pick the dog up now. This is what the dog looks like.
Me poopa Jesus! I want this. I dog a lion. Eh? I wouldn't get young tiger from boy my can't come off the dog. No way! Man got a cat already, you know, right? And the boy like a lion coming at us. No way! No lion!
Listen, I'm on the way now, so just let me know.
Listen, I'm on the way.
Answer your blood clot phone.
Answer your blood clot phone.
I think I might be getting pickle ones because some of them taste bad, but they're not that bad.
Yeah.
Turkish gambling ring serves their countrymen liquid grelp in meal. And that looks like grelp.
Can we'll just tie a bow in Virgin Suicides.
Yeah.
So
yeah, sure.
If that's okay with you, this other bit from this book, the very first moments of Joan Didion's The White Album book, she says, it's got this passage basically talking about how we try and narrativize disconnected stuff, essentially. And one of the lines is, we look for the sermon in the suicide, for the social or moral lesson in the murder of 5. We interpret what we see, select the most workable of the multiple choices. We live entirely, especially if we are writers, by the imposition of a narrative line upon disparate images, by the ideas with which we have learned to freeze the shifting phantasmagoria, which is our actual experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were asking after we watched the movie, why do you think the girls committed suicide in the movie, The Virgin Suicides? Bizarrely, it wasn't so much of a question for me, even though it's a major factor of it. But you had a really, I think, convincing answer.
Yeah, so
spoilers, obviously.
Spoilers. It does tell you at the start of the film that there are 5 daughters to this family, and that they because the story is told from the perspective of the boys, younger boys who live across the road from this family, from these girls, and it's a really interesting perspective because it's told in their childhood voices, but in the future from them being adults.
I just got to pickle one.
How is it? Is it rough?
Not that bad at all.
Not that bad. Yeah, I think
completely fine.
Yeah, completely fine. Yeah,
Yep,
because there's so much sugar in it that it's sweet. Anyway.
It's yum.
Yeah, so it's yum.
Go ahead.
So what was really interesting, partly of what was really interesting about the film to me was that it was about these 5 young women killing themselves, but because it was told from essentially the perspective of a neighbor living across the road, I thought it was so awesome the way Sofia Coppola was able to give you information as if you were looking through the window from across the road, seeing glimpses about what's going on in the backyard. They get the youngest girl who commits suicide first. She's 13. They get her diary. And so they try and piece together all these different things, and they know key events that happen. For example, Lux, played by Kirsten Dunst, is pursued by the heartthrob of the school, who she initially ignores.
Trip Fontaine. What a name.
Incredible character. Very funny. She's not interested in him. He does everything he can to woo her. They interview him. One of the only character interviewed as an adult. You see him, I think, in a drug rehabilitation program, saying that he was in love with Lux. It was the only time he ever felt love, true love, and that he was lucky to have it. And you hear him say this at the start, but then towards the end of the movie, you find out that, yeah, he eventually did get her to agree to go to homecoming dance with him. They get homecoming king and queen. They have this incredible whirlwind romance that results in, I believe, him taking her virginity and sleeping with her on the football field. And what he does is wakes up after they've slept together and decides to leave her half naked on the football field. And he says that it was really, as an adult, he said it was really strange. I didn't care how she got home, and it's the last time they ever see each other. And I think it's so heartbreaking. And so the boys across the road, they have all these different fragments of an idea of what happened. And
sorry, just on that point.
Yeah.
Tell me why did you bring that bit up?
Because what they eventually go on to say is, because that is something where you could narratively say or narratively justify, oh, well, she was heartbroken. She was so betrayed. She was so embarrassed, and that it elated, and that's why it happened. But what the boys, the narrators, say later is none of that mattered. They don't know. It didn't matter that they were girls. It didn't matter what was in the diary. It didn't matter that their parents were religious. None of it mattered. It just happened, and they will never know why it happened. What I enjoy about mysteries like that, knowing full well that I feel about Twin Peaks like this as well, even though there is that explanation video, knowing full well that I will never know the answer as to why, but talking about, with the evidence that we have, trying to get to the closest version of the truth based on what's given to us. The first girl who commits suicide, she's obsessed with this dead tree out the front of the house, and she's obsessed with it. She climbs it. She talks about it. She talks about dead trees all the time. And later in the film, the council come to tear down this dead tree because the dead tree has a fungus in it that is going to spread throughout the neighborhood and kill all the other trees. And the girls, who were grounded at the time, they come and stand in a ring around the tree to protect the dead tree because their sister loved it. A news reporter rocks up, goes and speaks to the parents. The council speak to the parents, and the parents say, so what if it's dead? Can't we just leave it? Like, can't it just be left there anyway? And then the council says, the fungus from the dead tree is going to spread to all the other neighborhood trees, and it's going to kill all the other neighborhood trees. And the parents go, well, the way the environment's going, that's going to happen anyway. So what? Can't we just leave it? And I thought that was really interesting. It touched on a previous conversation that Robbie rightly brought up from many pods ago
about when I said that I believed that suicide should be reported on the news, and it's not. And Robbie brought up all the listener emails that we got from you guys saying that, you know, there's this copycat phenomenon, and what they've found when suicide is reported of the news is that it encourages and leads to more people committing suicide. I still think about that argument, and I'm still not fully. I
think about it too. I think about it too because obviously it comes up. I mean, when Sinead O'Connor died, it was ambiguous as to how it happened.
Yeah.
When that guy from MasterChef, I think, died, I believe you can sort of, I think, infer that it is a suicide without them saying it. I think sometimes
you can, and
even though Sinead's one was.
Yes.
It was determined that it wasn't. But anyway, yeah.
Just to touch on that briefly, where I'm at with that, I think it's cap, because I think not reporting suicide is in defense of the news and is in the defense of capitalism rather, and the structures that we have in place, and the fact that we're killing ourselves doesn't fit palatably with the way that we do things on the main stage. But it's such a fickle argument to me that we wouldn't report suicide because it promotes copycats when we report mass shootings that, of course, elicit copycats. Like, everything elicits copycats. So if we're killing ourselves, if people at an alarming rate, which we are taking our own lives, and we're ignoring it, I think is a great sin and a great folly. And I don't doubt that reporting it will lead to more suicides, but I do think that...
You do doubt that. You just said you doubted that.
No, I don't doubt that. I know it would. I know it leads to copycats, but I think...
I thought you were saying it's cap.
No, sorry. It's cap to say that that's the reason. I think the reason is it would lead to a larger discussion that would change the way we're doing things. And we ignore this phenomenon that's killing so many of us because it will lead to questions that will change the way we're doing things.
I understand when you say reporting on suicide is in conflict with capitalism. I think I understand that, but I don't understand what you mean when you say it's in conflict with the news itself. What do you mean by that?
To honestly talk about what's happening and honestly talk about how many people are killing themselves and why it chips away at the foundation that the news stands on as it currently is, which is heavily controlled by corporations, heavily monetized by advertisement, and heavily skewed for political whoever funds the news. And I think that, like, I don't have this fully fleshed out yet, but I do believe that I think that there is a version of the news that could be, but this version of the news would be challenged by talking about suicides all the time. I can't articulate it properly yet. I'll have to think.
I think I understand what you mean. I think, what I agree with you on is that, you know, the 24-hour news cycle thing is obviously led by titillation more than anything, like the social media algorithms or whatever. So, like, whatever's getting your eyeballs and your attention for the longest period of time is what's favoured to be reported on. And sometimes that can lead to kind of funny stuff. Like I noticed on Channel 10's late night news bulletin on a Friday night, the headline was "Knock Knock," and it had a car careening into the side of a house.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny to me.
Absolutely.
The other one they had was "Slippery When Wet," and it had a compilation of random punters slipping over at train platforms.
Yeah, I love that.
Because it's been rainy in Sydney.
Yeah.
What do you think about that sort of news?
So I love it. So this is
That's just reels, isn't it?
So this is what I'm talking about. You could not have a fun-natured program that's enjoyable to watch if you were honestly talking about how many people are killing themselves. It would ruin the show. And that's why I think it's not reported.
Do you think it's also the reason
the show?
Do you think it's also the reason we now talk about people without homes, homeless people, rough sleepers? Do you think...
It's all of this softening of edges of reality.
I think that's kind of what my argument was for that one. It's sort of like
softening the edges of reality, which is that We have human beings sleeping outside when we have these huge buildings running heating and lights all night to look nice in the city with no one in them while people sleep outside. It's crazy.
World of pure imagination, come with me. We are sponsored this episode by Joker 2, Folie à Dieu. World of pure imagination.
We are living in a pre-Joker 2 world.
And when it comes, that's when the medicine's gonna hit.
It is gonna change everything. But so in Virgin Suicides,
yeah,
we're living in a world in this movie where they are reporting on these suicides.
That's
and
right.
This phenomenon is happening where all these teens are taking their lives and doing these horrendous, violent acts. And I think what is really interesting about what Sofia Coppola chooses to show us in the film is that the girls come to school and the boy, after the 13-year-old kills herself, the first girl that kills herself, and they act as if nothing ever happened. And when they're asked about it, they are given, they just react in their normal, charming way. They're as if, and that's what builds these girls up in these boys' mind to be these ethereal, otherworldly beings because they don't seem affected by what would affect everyone else. And then when we get the look into their home, you never, at any stage, except for once, and it's a very important exception, see the parents talk about the 13-year-old girl committing suicide. They have zero dialogue with their daughters or with themselves that we see about the 13-year-old. Now, the one exception for this, when the priest comes over, sits with the dad down in the lounge room. He keeps talking about the baseball game. The priest wants to have an honest conversation about how the dad's going, having recently lost his 13-year-old daughter. The dad can't bring himself to have that conversation. The priest goes up to speak to the wife, who's in bed. The father says he can't speak to her. She's feeling unwell. The priest says she'll speak to her priest. He gets up to go speak to the priest. The dad stops him and seems to be a bit choked up, as if he's going to say something. He says another inane thing about the sports on TV. The priest goes on to go upstairs. You think, okay, this is where we're going to see some emotional vulnerability. This is where we're going to start to see some of this getting unpacked. What is gone wrong in these girls' upbringing? What is going on now to have caused a 13-year-old girl to throw herself out of a 2-story window onto a piked fence and impale herself and kill herself after attempting to kill herself previously by slitting her wrists. And she goes up, the mum's sitting on the bed, and the priest says, I just wanted to let you know that I reported your daughter's death as an accident.
She just nods her head.
She nods her head. That the only solace that the priest is offering, her main, because we know the mum to be really religious, is to say on record she didn't kill herself. So now we've got official records hasn't killed herself, zero dialogue for the girls. And it really speaks to me about the rotting tree at the front, and that they had a daughter who, because the daughter, what prompts her to kill herself, what we see is they have a party at the start. They have their one and only party at the house. They have the boys over, they have the girls or the daughters there, and then it's all awkward, not much is happening. And
kind
then
of funny. There's,
it's really fun. It's really great. It's a great scene. And then a young boy comes late, who's been invited, and he has Down syndrome. This is the only time that we've seen this character, and the boys light up when he comes. They grab him, they take him over to the girls, and they make fun of him in front of the girls, make him sing, make him do funny dances. This little 13-year-old girl that kills herself watches this with a straight face. The scene finishes. She goes to her mum. She says, "Can I be excused?" The mum lets her go upstairs. That's when she kills herself.
And can I say, when I was saying it's a funny scene, I was more thinking about the friend that's talking about the punch with the mum and trying to be suave.
Oh, absolutely. Until
not the Down syndrome thing was quite confronting.
Until the young boy with Down syndrome rocks up, it's a comedic scene. And no, it doesn't feel good, as you say, when the Down syndrome boy is getting made fun of, and it prompts the little girl who obviously has a really nihilistic, negative, or realistic view of the world, because everyone else is able to get on board with this taunting of a young boy with Down syndrome, and it's too much for her, and she kills herself. And what I think Sophia is trying to say is that this youngest girl, or the parents before, or whatever, there is a source of rot, of fungus in the family, whether it's the dad, who we know wanted sons by the way that he lights up whenever boys are around but doesn't talk to his daughters at all, whether it's that, whether it's the mother and her stifling of and shaming of her daughter's sexuality through the lens of religion, whether it's their 13-year-old youngest daughter who was able to view all of these sins and shortcomings of the world through this lens. There is some kind of rot that was able to spread throughout the family because it wasn't cut down. There was nothing. And I just think that is really an interesting task that Sophia gives the viewer to decide from the picture that you're given where you think the source of the rot is.
And what I find really interesting about it is the way that the girls defend its being cut down themselves. And
yeah, of course, they're all in on it.
And the original girls' love of the known to be rotting
tree. Because
so what are we? Is that what it is?
And
what it is?
There's lots of narratives that talk about the comfortability of giving into the malaise, giving into the sleepiness, giving up, and becoming part of the rot of the world.
What's fascinating about that too, though, is that I think there is a willingness on the part of the sisters to leave the house.
Absolutely. They want to be free.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what's really powerful about it is, despite all the intellectualizing that I just did, their decision to kill themselves still feels so confronting and alien to me.
We've had disagreements before about romance and suicide.
Yes, we have. Essentially, I said
it was when you were in a dark place.
I was in a dark place. I wasn't suicidal, but I did say to Robbie said that there's no romance in suicide, and I said that I disagreed.
Yeah, that's the gist of that. And I guess maybe this movie also, do you think puts forward a version of romance on it, or do you think it is it moralizing, do you think, this movie? Wow. I'm not sure. But I mean, the word that it keeps coming up for me is intoxicating, glamorous, stylish, funny when it wants to be. These are the sorts of things that come up for me when I think about this movie and certain other Sophia things.
Yeah, it's a really good question, man. I don't have an answer off the top of my head because what it feels like is whatever romance that the girls attribute or that anyone attributes to suicide in this film vanishes once the act is completed, like Lux having sex with the boy. There is this fantasy about taking one's life young, dying young, doing this, doing that, but then the reality that we're shown is violent, tragic, and inconsequential. They're just gone, and it was for nothing. You know what I mean? Like and we will never know what happened or why, and that's the reality of it. And I think it maybe is like a really interesting discussion about fantasy and reality and the youthful, the tendency that we all have, especially youth, of romanticizing these fatalistic ideas.
Exuberant ideating.
Yeah. It's a really cool movie, and all of these it's baffling that she's able to make something like this.
Her first movie.
And
crazy.
And then how it's how it's stylized and the music just takes it to.
What I did just learn is that this movie, there was basically a male director afforded a different script for this story because it was a book originally by this guy. Sophia, without any assurances that it would be made, according to what has been said, adapted the book into her own screenplay took it to the studio that had agreed to let this other guy do his version. That guy walked away for whatever reason, and the studio was so enamored with what she wrote, they just let her do her version, and that's what we have today.
Wow.
And apparently the male's version was a very different telling, highly sexual and things like this, which I'm so glad that she got her way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a version of this movie that is horrendous.
Oh, yeah.
There's a version of this movie that is...
It's one of the worst movies.
Evil. Maybe one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah.
Her dad is obviously Francis Ford Coppola, and was him and her mum, who I believe is a notable documentarian, were on set for a bit of it.
Okay.
And so he was just basically helping with catering and stuff like that. Like he was,
Francis was?
Yeah. And being just sort of like a helpful hand where needed. He has this one moment, he's just giving her advice, but I just want to share it with you.
I'm keen. So this is the second Sofia Coppola film I've seen. The first one was Priscilla, and I am gonna move my way through all of them because I haven't even seen Lost in Translation or anything. So I haven't seen Marie Antoinette.
It's just great to have my dad as a mentor and producer, and because it's someone that I, whose opinion I respect.
A project like anything has its own life, and if you deny that life, then you're going to have something that's not alive.
Yeah.
And the whole object of art is to find life.
Damn, that's a lot to say in such a short time.
The whole object of art is to find life. I love that quote.
Yeah,
and I know anything that is a quote like that is going to be annoying for me to point out. But I think it's interesting for a movie called The Virgin Suicides to find life in this grief-stricken myth.
Yeah.
She did that, I think, with this movie. She found life there.
Oh, absolutely. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd, but I think I would actually bump that up to a 4.5 after I've let it sit, because as we've discussed, there's just so much, and like I'm just always in absolute awe when a creator is able to make something where there's so much with what they say, but then there's even more with what they don't say. And I would love to one day be able to make art like that. That's awesome. What are you pulling out? Oh, what is that? When did you get that?
Today.
You bought that today. That's a beautiful book. Oh, that's amazing. There are some, hopefully include some of these shots. Robbie's got this Sofia Coppola book.
Archive. Sofia Coppola Archive, her first book of basically just like scrapbook of all the movies she's made and stuff. This is literally, I think, the opposite of how Sophia wants anybody to deal with this book.
Yeah.
I think...
Any feet pics in it?
Skim.
While eating fucking sour pickle worms?
Yeah. Any feed pics here? I saw them in the movie. I'm just wondering if there are any stills. Lastly, before I get into my new segment, can I please touch on one more thing, not to do with directly Virgin Suicides. This is something that I saw. It was an interview.
Okay.
With Air ahead of their Sydney Opera House performances of Moon Safari. And there was a really interesting quote, I thought, about creative collaboration.
Okay.
I want to see how much this resonates for you. Dunkel was frank about the fact that his personal relationship with Godin was not exactly close, so Air is a duo. He alluded to there being ego clashes and even said they weren't really friends anymore. We were never best friends anyway, he added. We were musical partners. Today, as they're on the line together, they're more circumspect when asked about their relationship. Both of them feel a good partnership doesn't need to be a good friendship. And friendship can be detrimental to creativity. I think as a general rule, if you want to make good music, you have to be complementary. And to be complementary, you have to be very different from each other, says Godin. With my friends, I'm very much like them, we're the same kind of people. We have the same tastes, but I don't think I would make good music with them. To make music, you need the match and you need the scratch, you know? If you have 2 matches or 2 scratches, you'll never make fire.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really interesting, and I definitely agree that you don't need a good friendship to have a good... I've collaborated with people more in a professional sense, but like in other ways as well, where not having a friendship involved has made it so much more productive. That being said, he says there his friends and him are very similar. You and I are similar in a way, but I actually think, and I think we agree on this, that we're very different. We're very different people.
Yeah.
Like, we are not similar. And I think that that's partially what makes this podcast, I hope, interesting, is that we are different. Yeah, we'll agree on things and we're going to disagree, but like, you and I are spending time so differently. We see things differently. We've been brought up completely differently. We're different. And we meet together, and I hope that we complement each other.
Welcome to meet you. Hey, it doesn't make sense, but it does. I feel very strongly about this.
Okay.
That how we're different is essentially you're American and I'm English.
Robbie said this, yeah. I agree, yeah.
I think that's literally just all, like every bit of taste you can ever imagine of either of us, it pretty much lands there.
Yeah, basically.
Which is it's quite funny.
Like, we got in the car yesterday coming home from Virgin Suicides, and Robbie puts on The Clash.
Yeah, I've been getting into The Clash. Combat Rock is, I think, a really great album that I knew the big singles as you did, but I think as a piece, it's really like compelling.
Yeah.
Which is funny, and it didn't so much land for you.
No, fuck yeah, I love it.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah, it's cool. But I'm not chucking it on.
No.
But yeah, fuck with it.
I will say about that album, so it has this song called, I think, Go to Hell Boy or something, Go Straight to Hell Boy. Yeah. That MIA sampled very obviously in Paper Planes, but I had not heard the original song before anyway. Really cool. Great. Check it out. But Bridie had a great point about this sort of music. It's 1982. It's sort of clashing of different worlds kind of music, you know. And she can appreciate it, I think, but she can't listen to it very much because she said it's too frantic. It makes her crazy. It's too like...
Something I love about Bridie is how much music can take her. And we've been right here in this apartment just a couple of weeks ago where we were kind of supposed to be like winding down the night, and then I forget what I played, but I played something for Bridie. I was like, you've heard this, haven't you? And then I think I'd sent it to her previously, and I chucked it on, and Bridie goes, sorry, but I've got to shake my ass. And she gets up.
And she
Just
did.
me, Robbie, and Bridie, and
she did it.
Working. Because she has to.
She has to.
Because she's moved by it.
Yeah.
She's moved to twerking. She was telling me how overwhelming the new Nasty Red, is that her name?
Sexy Red?
Sexy Red album is.
Oh, I haven't listened to it yet.
Overwhelmingly nasty.
Is it? Okay. Funny music, man. That,
Ski! I'll let you know, another plug for the Patreon. The last Patreon episode was almost 2 hours. It was one of our longest episodes in ages, and it is up there for your consumption.
So
this episode's looking like it's going to be long too.
Okay, we're going to finish it up right after this. I just want to get this out of the way. Yeah. I realized recently I like taking photos. It's no secret.
And
really, to anybody that knows
it.
me. Basically, I've just recognized it's a hobby. Like it's you know when you do things and you don't really realize you're doing them so much. People ask me a bit like, oh, like you seem to take. What are you doing? Like, because I
got in trouble. You've told it on pod when
Yeah.
that guy down the street saw you taking photos and thought you were taking a photo of.
Yeah. So I've gotten in. Like I like to take of the moment stuff, and you know whatever compositional thing seems to, you know, the perspective kind of tickles me in some way or whatever. I genuinely have like, I think, a desire to like take artful photos, to be honest. And it, you know, it is, I have to say, a confronting thing to acknowledge to myself and to broadcast to you right now and to share with you, because
Well done.
I think fucking hipsters taking pictures sucks. And going on about different specs and all that shit, I hate that shit. I really do. And I hope I'm not insufferable with it.
You are promised. It is. I've said this before, Robbie. Like, if you're having a great time, Robbie, I think it's an act of service, and it's a really awesome thing because Robbie will come back at you a couple of days after you've had this fantastic night, and he has taken some of the most beautiful photos of the night that you ever, and they encapsulate what the night was, and it's cherishing. It's a cherished thing to have those there. You know what I mean? So I think it's great. I don't. None of me cringes at it. I want you to pursue it.
That's very kind.
Yeah.
I want to get your perspective on whether these things I've taken are actually good or not. Like, basically, good or bad.
The audience you're talking about.
You and the audience.
Right.
So I'll only do maybe 3.
Okay.
I'm keen to know, really, because I don't share any of these, actually.
No.
Like, I actually don't. I just sort of... It's basically just a compulsion. I just have a ream of... Occasionally, I think there's some quite beautiful stuff. I guess I was encouraged to think about this more after watching Civil War. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously to do with, photography, photojournalism, the purpose of
it's part of why I wanted you to see it, because I knew that was going to touch you, I thought.
It was interesting, and it did make me think about what I capture and why, and what I think the value of it is. So I'm going to start with one that I think you've seen.
Oh my gosh. I have not seen this. Wow.
Do you think it's good?
Gets a boom. No, that's good.
Yeah, actually, should we have boom or doom? Is it boom?
Yeah, this is boom or doom.
Boom or doom. Let's do our own boom or doom with this. I think
this gets a boom.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful.
The other segment
is that Fiji?
This is Japan.
Oh wow.
One of the art islands, I believe it was Takayama.
Mm-hmm. That's a big boom. That's 2 for 2. Boom.
Okay,
that is
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
2 for 2.
Wow. That's incredible. That's
you like
awesome.
that? It's okay?
It's awesome. Awesome.
Now, this is a funny one to me.
Okay.
I saw this in real life and I thought, okay, I've got to take a picture of this, not because I think it's genuinely good, but because it's both genuine and ironic, I think, in the sense that think about it.
Yeah. Look, straight off the bat, it's another boom. It gets a boom. And yes, this is very like, it's like, hey, the sky reflected in the mirror.
Have you thought about this?
Yeah. But it is beautiful. And these are not touched up in any way?
This is raw.
That's awesome, man.
That's Hawaii.
Awesome. Guys, comment on the YouTube, comment down below whether these photos get a boom or a doom.
1, 2, 3, boom or doom, and I have one bonus one. What's that called again? Heaven's just around the corner.
Dreaming of a brighter future.
Dreaming of a brighter tomorrow. Dreaming of a brighter future.
Yeah, look, I'm a bit biased here, but I give this a boom. It's a nice photo. That's a really nice photo, honestly.
I think it's a nice photo.
Sun's on my face. This was just before we recorded today, actually.
Dreaming of a brighter future.
Yeah.
Should we call the episode that?
Yeah. Dreaming of a brighter tomorrow.
Dreaming of a brighter tomorrow.
Yeah.
Great to connect, bro.
You too, man. Love you.
Love you too.
Love doing the show with you and love you all as well. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And get in touch.
Yeah.
Leave a comment. Talk to us. We love to hear it. Peace.
We're on Instagram, TikTok, Patreon.
We're on TikTok. Our TikTok's going off lately. So follow us on TikTok. That'd be great. WTMY podcast on TikTok. Going viral on there, I think. A little bit viral.
Hope you're doing good. See you next time. Peace.
She's a cocktail.